I don't expect there to be a quorum today. Right now there's only 4 members present, so we probably won't be passing or accepting any minutes or anything like that. But just if we could do a quick roll call to introduce ourselves. I'm Helen Poplowski. I'm the staff support from the Office of Sustainability.
Dane Cuppencher. I'm a faculty member at, formerly at Salem College, but now at High Point University.
I'm Denise Terry, community involvement, urban farmer.
I am Rajesh Kapleshwari, and I'm an engineer at Ethos Engineering.
Hello, I'm Jordan Brewster, and I work in sustainability at Contour Brands.
Helen, do you need me to introduce?
Sure, why not?
Okay, Jennifer Kryson, Bee City USA liaison.
All right, great. And just want to introduce everyone to Jordan. She is our new member representative of the Southwest Ward, and will be serving through 2023. So Jordan, if you wanted to say a little bit more, I don't want to put you on the spot if you don't, but just wanted to let everyone know that she is our newest member. And
sure.
Thanks for being able to join us.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here, and I apologize, my camera doesn't work, so I can't show you my face, but I'm really excited to be a part of the committee and to hear more about what you guys have been up to. Great.
Well, thank you again. All right. So I don't know if I don't know what the progress is. I'm skipping down to the annual report update. I know that Rajesh, you provided sort of some information for that for the transportation subcommittee. And then of course I have the documentation, at least from the tree canopy group, and can give that to Sarah if she doesn't have it yet. I don't know if she does or not. And I can also do that for recycling. And then I believe, as she was part of the green jobs group, that she probably has that information. But to give you all an update probably around the timing of that. So the deadline, we won't be able to get it on any August committee meetings, but we will be aiming to put it on the next meetings in September. So that would go to the general government committee with the deadline to submit that information. I think it would be September 1st, but I'll confirm that with Sarah and make sure that she has the information that she needs from all of you for that. And again, just sort of quickly to let Jordan know and to explain a little bit, that progress report is really going to act as a summary of what the committee has discussed in the last year. And then of course we have our subcommittees, so there will be some information more specific to each of those groups in that report. And then I think too that she was planning on putting a section in there of topics that will likely be discussed in this next fiscal year. So that's what that document will be for City Council to just sort of be aware of what this group has been working on. So that's what I can share about that. I don't know if anybody else knows anything in more detail about where we are in that process of putting that report together. But yeah, that's what I have. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on then to the Bee City USA and the sustainability updates. So G, if you want to go ahead and give us some updates from the Bee City side of things.
Sure. Can you guys hear me? Great. Good to see some of your faces. I feel like I haven't seen you guys. I had a baby, so I was off for a good portion of time. Just want to give you an update on what we're doing with Bee City. Jordan, just so you know, we are Bee City USA, and we are an advocate for the pollinators. And so the first thing we did was install signage in a few of our parks. The second thing we did was some educational outreach. And so we continue doing that. I did a PowerPoint for some kids at a rec center summer camp. And then we have some habitat enhancement projects. And so last year was our really first year incorporating that, and we added natives to the Keep Winston-Salem Beautiful Flower Bed program. This year, our vegetation management included those perennials as well as additional selection into the city maintained flower beds. So I think those goals have been met. The projects that I'm going to work on now, our Recreation and Parks Department received a sizable grant for a pollinator garden at Quarry Park. And the design is not 100% done yet, but for that, I'm looking into the signage and what that will look like. I'm looking at maintenance and maintenance costs. I'm looking at bee hotels to add in. And then I'm also looking at some type of least toxic pesticide. I'm not sure that project was really thought through on that end. So I've been kind of tasked to look into that. And the goal is least toxic. We don't want any neonicotinoids or like Roundup or any of those harsh chemicals in there. And then we're also working on a project that will start next year, Organic Protocol, which is kind of like the same concept. It's utilizing natural ways to combat the pests that you may get. And I have one more, and I didn't write it down, so it's like eluding me. Oh, I know what it is. It's also working with our vegetation management department and property and facilities management to kind of come up with a pesticide management policy that is better than what we're doing, just bettering ourselves. I don't know what it's going to look like. I just started the research. I've only had one meeting with staff, but that's something that I'll bring back to you guys when I have a little more clarity. So that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions for me? Okay, well, thank you. Oh,
Well, I have a, sorry, it took me a minute to put a mute button off.
Yeah.
Question, I understand, I guess we are doing natives in flower beds that are owned by the city, the native pollinators. But can we go beyond the flower beds, as in natural areas around the city, or even have a conversation with the county to kind of spread that program? Because it's a wonderful thing. I love it.
Yeah.
But how can we make it bigger?
So great point. So what I talked about with our vegetation management director, and this isn't, none of this set in stone, but identifying areas within the city that don't have an impact on city services or the citizens, that we could do this thing called No Mow May. It's where for the month of May, you don't mow. And so your active pollinators have a chance to do their thing. But we do have ordinances. So with those ordinances, we can't, that would probably have to go before city council for their approval and adoption. But that's part of that plan that I'm envisioning. Is, yeah, lots of parks around here have a potential to have an impact. And so it's a great question. And we are looking beyond that. And I think that's what that document will hopefully showcase.
Yeah, and to expand a little bit, the ordinances specifically that might impact this relate to, you know, how tall your grass can be before it becomes, I don't know the word that they use.
A nuisance.
A nuisance, yeah. So those are the types of ordinances that we're working with, to give an example.
Yeah, I mean, some of those create vermin and unsanitary conditions, or it could lead to. So it's, we have to think that through, but it's definitely been put on the radar. Anybody else? All right, well, you guys, oh, Dane, are you good?
I just a comment really, not a question, that which you've been working on with B City fits very nicely with what we had suggested, some of the suggestions with the tree canopy and increasing tree cover here for our area. So it's a nice overlap of interest there.
Well, I look forward to seeing the tree canopy stuff. I haven't seen that, but I'd love to look at that before we ultimately go forward. So I'll just get with Helen.
Okay, great.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, Dee. And yeah, I can share that plan that your subcommittee, Dane, put together, you and Kira, with her. And then I've found not super detailed, but sort of like percentage type breakdowns of tree canopy in different parts of the city. So you know, that information is available on places like Enviro Atlas from the EPA, but that stuff has helped to sort of at least introduce the idea of doing a detailed one. But yeah, and then other than that, I don't know that I really have any specific updates from our department, but sort of an ongoing thing that we've had, I think I mentioned in the last meeting. The recycling RFP process, we're still going through that. We've received proposals now, but we still have to evaluate those. But either way, we're going to be signing a new contract or doing something new starting in April of next year. So that's coming down the pipe for us, and will probably be an ongoing project that's keeping me a little bit busy. And then to add to an update, I think I mentioned in the June meeting, it's now been confirmed as the budget has officially been passed that we have $125,000 for solar installations on city facilities. So that'll be something that we're working on this year in our department as well, to identify, you know, the facilities that are well suited for that, the number of facilities we might be able to do, or, you know, rooftop versus ground mount, all that kind of stuff is what we're going to be talking about in the next year. So yeah, that's a big win for us. Thanks, Kira, for your support in the chat. But yeah, so that's exciting. And yeah, those are two of the bigger things that we'll be working on, that are also bigger and long-term projects than we've had in the past. But yeah, that'll be exciting to see as it develops. So I mean, we've pretty much already run through the agenda, so I'm just going to open it up to any questions, comments, new business that anyone might want to address, just keeping in mind that because we don't have a quorum, no official motions can be made, I'll say. But other than that, I'll open up the floor to you guys.
I have a quick question / comment. I know the ARPA funding has come to the city. 125,000 is probably from the ARPA funding, right? Or is it a different source of funds from the city coffers?
I'm sorry, what fundings were you?
Oh, the American Rescue.
Yeah, no, I mean the dollar amount.
Oh, the $125,000.
Yeah, that's not tied to any of that. That's just
that's wonderful.
What the city decided to give us this year, independently of any additional funding that they got.
That is excellent, because I was thinking that we would have this is modest compared to the ARPA funding that the city will receive. But if this is not from the federal funding, then that is excellent news. So has there been any talk about how to use the federal funding?
Yeah, so I have some guidance from someone who is on we call it the ARBA committee. There's a few points that she shared with me. So just the first thing about, you know, engaging with ARBA, the best way to do that is through that public input, like things that they've set up. There's some information on the website, and then the website is also how we've solicited some as well. So you know, that's a good way, and right now the most effective way to share thoughts or opinions for how that money should be spent. City Council will be workshopping an ARBA framework that they are going to discuss, or will help them to discuss in general how to spend the funds. And that workshop will be available for the public to tune into on August 23rd at 4 p.m. If you just sort of want to see what they're talking about, thinking about doing with that. And then, of course, the two important things to remember when it comes to this funding is that there needs to be a nexus to show impact from COVID-19. Based on the formula that has been provided as part of this, it shows that the city did not lose any net funding. So that's already put us in a sort of tighter spot with maybe some of the possibilities for that. And then again, the funds are meant to be for one-time projects, not anything that would need to be ongoing, not anything that's, you know, going to need any kind of reoccurring expenses in the future. So yeah, and I would just say that for this committee, as a body, this committee, I would just maybe try to redirect into something that you're not depending on this funding for, just because we have a whole lot of people already working on that, and there are so many ways already for the public to engage with that you all can use to also share your thoughts, and they can be related, of course, to sustainability, but they are more likely to be heard, in all honesty, if you go through those channels that already exist. And then, of course, like I said, I think just maybe refocusing on projects or recommendations that are not dependent on that funding in case we don't get it. So then we still have valid recommendations for City Council to take into consideration, because I think that if we can take anything away from getting that $125,000 for solar, it's that they're willing to spend the money on the sustainability projects without having this funding that is provided from other sources. So yeah, that's just a little bit of information that I got from our internal team. So yeah, that's my recommendation, is just to try to focus a little bit more on not dependent, like ARPA dependent projects.
Right, that's excellent suggestion. And I would also look at what other cities are doing and how they're using the ARPA funding to do something in line with sustainability.
Yes, our ARPA team internally is all over it. I mean, they are dedicated staff working on this project right now, and that's like all they're doing. So we definitely have that aspect covered. We have the research done. So it'll just, but of course we can't make that decision without the support of the council, the city council. So yeah, speaking directly to them and involving them directly through those public means. That's why I say that's probably the best way to get your voice heard, because they're the decision makers.
Right.
Is there anything else anybody has comments or questions? Yeah.
I was going to reintroduce the three items I sent to Sarah for the transportation, and just to bring everybody, back to what we are thinking, and perhaps we need to vote on it to make it a formal recommendation through the committee, but not today. So and this is a condensed list from the previous discussion we had a couple of months ago. So now, from transportation point of view, just to give you background, transportation is about 30% of carbon footprint of the United States, significant. So, and the White House is very, very focused on reducing the carbon footprint of the transportation sector. And just today, they mentioned that they're going to improve the the miles per gallon rates again, and Biden is targeting 50% of all new vehicles by 2030 would be electric. And again, this is a target. This is not a mandate, but that is good news. So the 3 points I had was to encourage travel reduction by city employees by providing online meetings and remote working. So that was one item. Something we learned from the COVID times is productivity does not suffer if you work from home. It's actually good. So that's one. Second one was using the ARPA funding or the infrastructure funding, which is still, I guess, being debated in Congress, to transition the city fleets and buses from fossil fuel to electric. And then we can do 5% per year, which goes to 50% by 2030, which is in line with what we had discussed earlier with the carbon reduction plan. And the third item is conduct a study or update the evaluation reports related to multimodal transportation systems. I was lucky enough to travel abroad in the last month, and I'm just amazed how much connectivity they have with light rail trolleys and everything. And really, the reliance on cars is so much less. And we could do it in small sectors in town. So just evaluating and studying it. So if and when funding becomes available, we go after it, even for a modest project. So those were the 3 simple items from transportation. Now, to make it a formal recommendation, I guess we'd need to vote eventually. But that was my report from transportation.
And yes, Raj is right. That would have to be a motion introduced when a quorum is present and voted on. And to add to that, the suggestion about the employee travel, recommendations similar to that have been included in the internal sustainability plan that I put together. So I have been in contact with somebody in our DOT, our Winston-Salem DOT department. And that's, like I said, in that plan and on our radar for the next few years. But yeah, a recommendation from the committee could bump that up to a more pressing goal, more something that we would do earlier than otherwise. And then, yeah, I would, going back to what I was saying earlier about that ARPA funding, just considering that maybe those would be something that you submit as a citizen at one of those public input meetings. I don't know much about the timeline, honestly, for when they would plan to or need to have those recommendations decided by. I want to say decided by this year at least. But yeah, I don't know if, they're trying to get it done in November, so it's submitted in December or what. So unfortunately, I don't have that information. But yeah, that just to those couple of points there. But yeah, and again, with more folks present, I think maybe further explanation or discussion around that employee focused one for the travel demand could lead to that motion.
Well, and I just wanted to clarify one thing with that item 2, the 5% of vehicles per year. I also had expanding the EV charging stations to 100 in the city, and this could include city and private. And this is in line with, Helen, what you had for lead for cities. And it exceeds the target just a little bit, but 100 is a nice round number. That's why I thought.
Yeah. Well, right. And my point, also, I'll share this with the whole committee. I don't know. I don't remember if I've said this in a previous meeting or not, but I did share a couple of lead for city credits with the transportation subcommittee around, they're policy based, but they're focused on alternative fuels, EVs, things like that, the infrastructure, but just setting up policies, because right now we don't have policies for that in terms of like new construction or city construction development, etc. And they had a couple of thresholds in there, you know, to meet a certain number of charging stations, for instance, per capita. And we're not meeting those thresholds as is. So that information was shared with that subcommittee. And if Raj, you and Lee are able to meet between today and our next meeting, perhaps there could be a report out from your group about, you know, any ideas to pursue researching a policy to help with that density of that infrastructure or what, but just to keep everybody aware, that could be something that group decides to do and pursue. But I also don't want to limit it to that subcommittee. So if anybody else is interested in assisting that effort to either research or help put together an official recommendation or a motion, that you all, of course, can help as well with that.
So just to clarify, you said I should, you recommended I talk to Leah from our group?
Lee, sorry.
Oh, sorry, Lee. Okay.
Mr. Stackhouse, yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Your
Please, okay, yes,
transportation
Lee Stackhouse.
subcommittee
Yes.
partner, I guess.
Yes,
It's
yes,
only two of
absolutely.
you. That's okay. Yeah. Somehow I never realized Lee and Leah, but yeah.
Oh, no, I just misheard. Okay.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. And I'm sorry I just thought of another update for you guys. I forgot that I did this. I completed not a formal, but an informal community level greenhouse gas emissions study report. I'll be submitting that to the General Government Committee in September also, hopefully, is the plan. So once we submit that to them, that'll be probably put on our website. And like I said, not formal in the sense that it's not fully comprehensive. The industrial emissions is not something that I was able to incorporate into this, but it was put together using an EPA tool. So yeah, and then going back to Raj's point about the transportation emissions, for us, it actually, based on the report for the city of Winston-Salem, it's 36% of our emissions. So it's also a large portion, more so than the national average, and more so, I believe, than the state average as well. But that breaks it down a little bit more by source, and uses data from Google Environmental, the Google Environmental Insights Explorer tool that they have for local governments. And then some internal data that we have from our wastewater and our solid waste divisions of the utilities department. So yeah, look for that before our next meeting. Like I said, if it does make it to a September agenda, it'll be on our website before then, but I'll also let you guys know when that happens and can send it out to everyone. Okay, well, and again, since there's nothing else on our agenda, we can choose to end early, but I don't want to take this time away from you guys. So if anybody else has something they want to talk about, ask about, yeah, feel free. Now's your chance.
Question for Dane. Dane, is this your last meeting by any chance, or your?
I think it is, Helen. Can you clarify that? I think Helen told me yes, because I am no longer a representative from an institution that's in Winston-Salem. I am no longer able to fill that seat, one of those seats. So the way that our committee is structured, we have 2 seats dedicated for a representative from a local university or college. Stephanie is one of them as a representative of Wake Forest, and Dane was the other as a representative of Salem. But yes, now that he has
has moved on to High Point. At least in that capacity, he can't serve, but I, of course, offered him the opportunity to apply as a representative of his ward. So that's still on the table. And Dane, if you do, please let me know. I don't always get those submitted directly to me, so I can ask for it and see if,
We don't want to
if
lose
I can
it.
help move that along. Yeah. So anyways, yes, today is his last meeting as a university/college representative. But thank you, Dane, for
Thank you.
being on this first
Of course.
iteration of this committee. We appreciate all of your input and participation in our subcommittees and everything like that. So yes. Okay, well, last call, I think, for anything anybody wants to ask or talk about, but
Any updates of reports that Dane or Denise or Kira are working on? Anything to report or something we can chew on for the next meeting?
yeah, I don't know if any subcommittees met, but
We haven't.
okay, yeah, that's fine.
And we have not met, but I intend to go ahead and reach out and
Great.
to the Green Committee and
Yeah, and Jordan, I'll also offer that opportunity up to you. So I think I may have sent this to you in an email, but just to reiterate, we do have 4 subcommittees. One for recycling, which now has dwindled down to 1 person. So I don't know if she would want to dissolve that committee or still continue on. But so we have recycling, the green jobs and equity subcommittee, the transportation subcommittee, and then the tree canopy subcommittee. So Jordan, if you are interested in any of those, let me know. I can get you connected with the members of that group. I don't at all want to make you feel like you have to do this. And Jordan, we have some members that aren't on any subcommittees, and that's also perfectly fine. But just thought I would offer that up.
Yeah, great. I'll take a look and get back to you.
Yeah, and I can also give you a little bit of a summary maybe of what those groups have worked on, just so you maybe have an idea of what you might be getting into by signing up for one of them.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, great.
Helen, would you mind sending the report that Kira and I put together out to not just Jordan, but Deborah Jones and others? Just I'm afraid I sent it to you and it kind of didn't do a good job of sending out to everybody else, and I apologize for that.
No, I'm happy to do that. I maybe had meant to do that anyways and also forgot. So yes, I will make a note to do that.
And I have some bad news, Dane.
What is it?
After our ice storm in February, I had 22 trees cut down in my backyard.
Oh,
Wow.
that's a lot of
Significant.
I
down
didn't
woods.
get a new tag,
A lot.
but they were old pines and they were just weak and they were falling every couple of weeks. So
Well, I guess you look at it, you're opening up more space for hardwoods.
yes, exactly.
Well, if you need recommendations, Dane is right here. He can-
Right.
There you go. Yeah, that's true. He's not leaving the city. You can still.
No, I'm not moving at all.
Yeah, we can all still ask him our tree questions.
I guess I will mention here that, and I don't know how to formally send it out to the rest of the committee. I am happy to answer any questions, and if anyone wants to talk to me, and it seems like I may enter a nether world time between transitioning from one seat to another if I do that. But my personal email is very similar. It's just dane.cuppinger, same as it was, but it's at gmail.com instead of at Salem. So just change the ending.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for that update. All right, well, with that, I think this will just be one of our shorter meetings today. Hopefully we'll have that quorum at the next meeting. But yes, Dane, if you just let me know if you do submit an application, working to get reappointments is deceivingly difficult. It might seem simple, but I promise I'm still trying to fill some of our other openings as well. So hopefully between now and the next meeting, we'll have a few new faces as well. But until then, please contact me if your subcommittee does plan to meet so I can attend that. And again, because we don't have a quorum, I don't think anybody has to move to adjourn. But last call.
Well, thank you, Dane, for everything you've done, and welcome, Jordan. I'm looking forward to another great year. Thank you, guys.
Yes, well said, Rajesh. All right, well, thank you guys all for attending. I appreciate it, and I'll give you some of your evenings back. But thanks again, and I will speak with you all soon.
Thank you.
Okay.